Celebrating 41 seasons on the air, Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, the Farm Bill inches toward a final vote in Congress. The bone of contention, still SNAP.
Meanwhile, farmers impacted by tariffs and rumors of tariffs, younger farmers facing a different kind of pressure.
It's called a hell strip. It might feel like a demon, but there's a kinder, gentler side, too.
And in the Mississippi Delta, grinding it out the Southern way. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Russell.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for joining us today on Farm Week. President Trump has threatened billions more in tariffs on Chinese goods, but China has prepared a multi-billion-dollar counterstrike expected to squeeze U.S. agriculture. As both sides continue their international shoving match, a host of domestic issues are waiting in the wings. Among them, the 2018 Farm Bill, expected to have a healthy debate of its own.
The House and Senate voted to send the 2018 Farm Bill to conference committee this week as the document trudges towards a final vote in Congress. The current Farm Bill, which was signed in 2014, expires at the end of September 2018. The most contentious fight of the conference will be over the future of SNAP benefits. In June, the House passed an amendment requiring those receiving benefits to work 20 hours a week to qualify for SNAP monies. The Senate later defeated a similar amendment to its own version of the Farm Bill. Cotton growers may benefit from the current versions of the Farm Bill. The crop insurance title includes continuation of the agriculture risk coverage, price loss coverage insurance program for cotton at the current rate, an item threatened in earlier editions of the measure. The Senate version seeks to limit total farm subsidies to large farms, as well as containing payments to farmers, spouses, and a single farm manager. Congressman Michael Conaway, chair of the House Agriculture Committee, is optimistic that a compromise bill can be reached. Senate Agriculture Committee Chair Pat Roberts is looking forward to starting the process and providing certainty to U.S. farmers, families, and rural communities. The National Farmers Union asked House leaders to include language in the bill to mitigate the harm of the significant and lasting market disruptions brought on by the nation's current trade disputes. With the August recess shortened to 1 week, Congress will return on the 13th to work on differences between the two bills. For Market to Market, I'm Peter Tubbs.
As you just heard, the proposed SNAP work requirements still on the table. President Trump tweeted a few days ago, "When the House and Senate meet on the very important Farm Bill, we love our farmers. Hopefully, they will be able to leave the work requirements for food stamps provision that the House approved. Senate should go to 51 votes."
Also, as you just heard, many farmers feeling the tariff squeeze and pending talks with China. Many more could be affected. One of those is Michelle Erickson Jones, a young fourth-generation rancher and farmer in Montana, who's also president of the Montana Grain Growers Association. She says the stakes are higher for younger farmers because they haven't had as much time to pay down farm debts and accumulate other farm assets. Michelle uses her media skills to lobby on behalf of the industry. These are her photos from her website at bigskyfarmher.com. I spoke to Michelle recently. She explained why the risk is so much higher for people like her.
No matter how you start in farming, whether you're first generation or fourth generation, it's capital intensive, and we've got a lot of expenses into building our operations, and any uncertainty in price or long-term downturns in price make it even more difficult for us to break even when we have quite a few land payments or equipment payments, and there's also concern about these trade talks that it substantially impacts our markets for several years or worst case scenario decades to come, and that type of uncertainty is it affects the entire farm community, but it it certainly can weigh a little bit heavier on some of the younger generation.
Michelle says she is against the tariffs, preferring a more diplomatic approach. She told me that though working through the World Trade Organization is a slower process, she favors its ability to build a multinational coalition.
Meanwhile, conservatives in Mississippi generally coming down in the middle where the tariffs are concerned. We spoke to Mississippi's former Ag Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith about the impact on farmers. Recently appointed U.S. Senator by Governor Phil Bryant, she says that whatever happens with tariffs, farmers still play an essential role in the economy.
You've just got to let the rest of the decision makers politically understand the world that we live in, because it can be a pretty complicated world, but it's a global market and we've got to take advantage. We've got to have fair trade. We have got to continue to prosper, because you can go a few days without playing golf, or you can go a few days without driving a car. You can't go a few days without eating. So we know how important it is to afford that safe, affordable food, to make sure every family has that, and that we can have enough of a profit that we can continue to make a living doing this.
Mississippi's new Ag Commissioner, Andy Gibson, is diplomatic. He told me he supports the president's trade goals, but he knows the tariffs are hard on farmers. Gibson has been especially active since taking office a few months ago, touring the state and talking to farmers and ranchers. A rancher himself, he knows the ag community is eager to level the playing field and get a fair price for its products.
You know, we're in a tough time with these tariffs, and we do not want or need a trade war. I believe the president is doing what he needs to do to get things settled out, to get a fairer market. And at the same time, there are market opportunities that are happening right now. These tariffs are, in some cases, benefiting some commodity sectors. But we want that to stop. We want the tariff war to stop, and we want it to get back level. I believe it will by the fall. I'm going to be watching very carefully to make sure it does. Regardless of that, I'm not going to slack up seeking out every reasonable trade opportunity for Mississippi farmers and ranchers.
The days are getting shorter, but there's still time left for great grilling if you're a grilling pro. And we've got the tool for you in this Encore Food Factor. Here's Natasha Haynes.
Everybody knows one. You know, the grill master, the guy who likes to show off his cooking skills. Well, guess what, grill master? If you're not using a meat thermometer, then you're not grilling like a pro. Food thermometers are essential for keeping your family safe from foodborne illnesses. But they can also help avoid overcooking. This assures you a safe and flavorful meal. When using your food thermometer, follow these simple steps to grill like a pro. Always check the internal temperature by inserting the thermometer into the thickest part of the meat. If you're cooking a thinner cut, like chicken breast or hamburger patties, insert the thermometer from the side, making sure the probe reaches the center of the meat. Use the following guidelines to know the safe internal temperatures of your meat and poultry. For beef, pork, and lamb, temperatures should reach 145 degrees. For ground meats, 160 degrees. And for all poultry, 165 degrees. And remember, never put cooked meat on the same platter that raw meat was held on. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
As we said at the beginning of the show, that little strip of grass between the sidewalk and the street is called a hell strip. At times it might feel like a demon, but there can be a kinder, gentler side to that little piece of landscape.
A horticultural challenge for many homeowners is an area known as the hell strip, the space between the sidewalk and the street. What's a home gardener to do in this difficult area?
Gary, this hell strip is my domain. Leave it be, because it's a lost cause.
Oh, come on, Gary. I've got confidence in your gardening abilities. Let's turn this hell strip into our Garden of Eden.
You're right. Let's do this. Turning your health strip into a garden is a challenge, but the effort is often worth it. The first thing I did was pick plants that are really great performers. My go-to annuals are always marigolds. I love these yellow and orange African marigolds. These plants are sure to grow in tough situations. Another tough annual is Melampodium because they're heat tolerant and produce a boatload of 1/2 inch yellow flowers, even in the hot and humid conditions in Mississippi gardens. These easy to grow plants are short and rounded, making them a fantastic choice for my health strip. Zahara zinnias are always a great pick. I chose the lemonade mix having yellow, white, and fire-colored flowers. For a hot garden space, celosia is the right choice. The All-America selection Fresh Look Red looks great planted in small groups. I also planted Bright Ideas sweet potato. I love how the black and rusty red fills into and around the marigolds, Melampodium, celosia, and zinnia. Wow, we did it! This looks great!
It sure does. Our own tiny slice of heaven.
I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman, and I'll see you next time on Southern Gardening.
Never knew what a health strip was until Gary and producer Tim Allison produced this piece. He did a good job of getting rid of the heat, didn't he?
He sure did, Mike. And speaking of relief from the heat, by the time you view this edition, a cold front is expected to bring some much-needed moisture to parts in the Mid-South. We begin with a check of crop progress. Also ahead, it's wait and see as far as cotton prices. But there's reason for optimism. The size of this year's calf crop will impact the cattle market, as will the burgeoning supply of meat in the nation's cold storage. Increasingly dry soil is starting to impact crop progress in the Mid-South. As of August 5th, over half of Mississippi is listed as short or very short on soil moisture. This weekend's increased chances of rain should help with that. Now, Mississippi crops shape up like this as of August 5th. 16% of the state's corn is mature compared to the 5-year average of 20%. 90% of Mississippi cotton is setting bolls. The 5-year average is 79%. 82% of the state's peanut crop is pegging compared to a 5-year average of 90%. 65% of the rice is headed at this point, which is behind the 5-year average. And 97% of Mississippi soybeans are setting pods, which is ahead of the 5-year average of 73%. The cotton market in particular is awaiting the new supply-demand data coming out on August 10th, just after this weekly recording. For the second month in a row, the USDA could lower cotton production, which would be bullish and have prices leaning higher.
The big thing that stands out, they lowered the production forecast, and so that was a positive sign. But altogether, the one note that stood out the most to me was probably that USDA raised their marketing year average price. So they do a range. They raised the midpoint from up to 75 cents. This is a 5-cent increase over the previous report. So they're certainly leading toward higher prices than they expected last month.
Our trivia quiz this week recognizes that August is Catfish Month. Today's question is about Mississippi fish production. How many water surface acres are used for the farm-raised catfish industry in the state this year? Is the answer A, 4,900 acres, B, 14,600 acres, C, 36,400, or D, 54,200 acres? We'll have the answer coming up.
We'll take a break here, but don't go away. Coming up on our Farm Week feature, grinding it out in the Delta in a good way. Grits and polenta, two of the most popular dishes in the South, served every way you can imagine. Also, two of the most popular products sold by Delta Grind, a truly southern operation in Water Valley, Mississippi. You've heard of Farm to Table. This owner is all about supporting local farmers, and that is the nitty-gritty. Delta Grind coming up later on Farm Week.
Every day, real people are solving problems, learning skills, and achieving goals through extension education. We care about their success and yours. Extending knowledge, changing lives. The MSU Extension Service.
Before we get to the market report, let's take a look at the Farm Week calendar. On Tuesday, August 21st, the 2018 Turfgrass Field Day and Expo at the Foyle facility at MSU in Starkville. You'll learn about turf breeding, sod production, cultural management, and a lot more. This workshop is for turf pros, coaches, school superintendents, anyone with a stake in turf management. Online pre-reg is $40. Registration the day of is $50. For more information, call Turfgrass Specialist Jay McCurdy at 662-325-2331. Next, a workshop for private well owners looking to improve their drinking water. This workshop is actually in 4 different counties. The first one on Thursday, August 30th at 6 p.m. at the Neshoba County Extension Office. A grant is funding the workshop and bacteria screenings for the first 45 people who register at each of the 4 counties. It's $25 for everybody else. To find out when you can pick up your sample bottles and collection instructions, call 662-325-1788. The results will be mailed to each owner. Now, check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
The latest inventory of the U.S. cattle herd reflects bigger numbers again in several categories. Many traders found the 2% increase in the calf crop to be one of the more significant.
We're looking at 36.5 million calves expected to hit the ground in 2018. Of that number, 26.6 million have already hit the ground. And so we're only looking at about a little less than 10 million more coming throughout the rest of the year. So yeah, larger numbers of calves on the ground.
And what does this mean for the cattle market overall? You talk about this many calves and as we move through 2018.
Yeah, so I think the really important piece here is that this means we know we have larger supplies for 2018 and 2019 for cattle and beef supplies. But underneath that, if you look closely, you'll see that replacement heifer retention rates down 2.1%. You combine that with that larger heifer on feed total, and it paints a picture of a significantly slower herd growth rate. So it takes a while for us to see that, due to the nature of the cattle industry, but it does indicate that we're going to see a slowdown in herd growth and moving forward.
And that expected slowdown in herd growth is welcome news in light of all the beef that's now sitting in cold storage around the country. Total pounds jumped 8% from this time 1 year ago, which can make for a volatile market for both cattle and hogs.
It's a problem. We've got more cattle coming in. We still looks like we've got another month. Some of the wildfires out west are going to play havoc with this cattle market, bringing some cattle forward a bit. Demand's been great in the cattle market, but we've seen these cash prices kind of hang between the 110, 112 mark. We had a wild day during the week, a $4.5 range from 110 down to 107 and change. The market volatility is telling us that there is still more risk out here. And when you're looking at feeder cattle well over $150 and you're looking at fat cattle well over $100, I think it's time to be looking at buying some puts just to protect yourself in case there's any major problems out there with price. But keep the upside open because hopefully we'll see demand pick up, maybe cattle numbers back off a little bit at some point. So I'm relatively hopeful. And in the pork market, we've seen very cheap prices in December hogs. Can they go lower? Yeah, I guess they can. But I think there's some upside potential there, at least Feb and April of next year.
Back to the trivia quiz now to close out the markets this week. Today's question is about catfish. How many water surface acres are used for the farm-raised catfish industry in Mississippi this year? Well, the answer is C, 36,400 acres.
It's no secret that for any number of reasons, the odds are against small-time ag businesses. Low margins, tariffs, competition, to name a few. But one Mississippi business owner is bucking the odds with her homegrown recipe for moving products from farm to table. She's found a niche, grinding out success one shipment at a time.
It's just Mississippi corn. That's one thing that's really important to me, is keeping everything Mississippi made.
And that's what Julia Tatum says is one of the best things about owning and operating a small business that supports one of the most important industries there is, agriculture. Delta Grind was actually first established in the Mississippi Delta, hence the name, but it's now stationed in Water Valley near Oxford. Delta Grind has only been in business since 2000, but it sells classic, tried and true products that have been around for thousands of years. Julia Tatum says in a normal week, she ships out about 1,500 pounds of product.
We have our grits, obviously that's our #1 seller, but we also have a coarse cornmeal, polenta, and then a masa. So the masa is going to be a finer corn flour. People make tortillas out of it, tortilla chips, things like that. And then the polenta is essentially the same thing as a grit, just smaller. A lot of people are texture based, so if they don't like the texture of the grits, then they'll try the polenta and they end up loving it because it cooks out a lot smoother. And then the coarse cornmeal obviously is just like your regular cornmeal. You can fry in it, make cornmeal, cornbread.
Early day corn plants actually looked more like a type of grass rather than the corn stalk we see today. However, Delta Grind's stone grinding process is fairly similar to milling techniques used since ancient times.
They're stone ground, so it's going to hold more flavor, it's going to have more of the nutrients. There's no preservatives. I literally run it through the machine, bag it, ship it out, deliver it. Say you buy, the quick grits from Kroger, well, there's all these preservatives in there that they can sit on the counter for like 2 years. There's no real expiration date. They've been bleached.
By now, you're probably wondering how the stone grinding process works, especially since no stones can be seen on the machinery. Right-hand man Eddie Rogers says the stone is actually encased in the milling equipment.
The stone grinding is 2 big stones, one stationary stone in the mill and the other is rolling, it's turning. And the corn goes into a small crack and it busts it up. And that way you will get 3 different products out of it. And the meal goes through a separator and you get the flour, the cornmeal, the polenta, and the grits, all separated, 3 different batches it is.
From one machine?
One machine.
Okay, so it separates it by size as it breaks down.
Yes.
You can find Delta Grind products in various stores around Mississippi or order online. Julia says she's putting her college degree in graphic design from the University of Mississippi to good use as she generates customers by maintaining a strong website and social media presence.
I've made so many chef connections just through Instagram. They'll follow you and they're just like, oh man, I've got to have this. So send them a sample and then they become a regular customer. I know how important it is, and to keep pictures updated on the website and all the information up to date so people know where to find you. I do ship all over the United States. I even last year had to ship to a castle in Switzerland for some foodie event. That was fun because I was like, how the heck do I ship this 50-pound box? I'm in a few restaurants out in California, a lot in Memphis, Itabena, Babalu, Char, Amerigo's. Tipsy Parson in New York, they're great. Tomas is one of my most regular customers. And it's crazy because I've never actually met him, but I feel like he's like one of my best buds.
Because Delta Grind products are preservative-free, they must be stored in a refrigerator or freezer, never in a window or display exposed to heat. As for cooking, Julia says she likes to have fun with unexpected flavor.
And it's chicken stock. Chicken stock's my go-to, or you can use vegetable stock.
As for future plans, Julia is working with various local farmers to create new product ideas.
6 Mile Farms, John Looney, he's great. He is growing me some blue corn and an heirloom variety. It's a red corn that's going to be used for polenta. So we've also been looking into like green corn and peas and things like that. So I do work with a lot of other local farmers here and there. Some people will bring me stuff all the time to try, but it's all about how it smells when it goes through the machine and then taste. You can definitely see how clean it is. I love working with local businesses and small businesses.
So I tried the polenta recipe with the chicken stock Julia told me about, and I also tried a traditional Southern grit dish called Charleston shrimp and grits. So let's see what the verdict is. So I just have to say, this was one of my tastier stories.
And I can vouch for that. I had some of that polenta. It was absolutely amazing.
It's making me hungry.
Absolutely. Yeah, and by the way, this is an environmentally friendly packaging that she's using because Julia is using the paper sacks, so it's biodegradable.
Wonderful. That's
and
good.
it looks like she's staying true to her roots as well as supporting local agriculture.
Staying small. Yeah.
Well, next week, another story of staying true to her roots. She's 10 years old, but you never know it. In just a year, 4-H'er Peyton Bell has come far. She's young but driven, and she's got a bushel of awards that proves she loves what she's doing.
And the rest of what they call her goat village is right there too, helping her roll with the punches. The sweet story of a young girl who lights up the ring, next time on Farm Week.
And remember, if you missed the story, you can always find the past episodes on our website, msuext.ms/farmweek.
And as always, don't forget to follow us and all of our video clips from the show on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.